any plans to construct an oil pipeline between Namibia and Zambia, and if so, when construction works will commence.
And question 289 will come from Mr. Elias Musonda, who is Chimba-Milonga Member of Parliament, and is expected to ask the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate the following roads in Chimba-Milonga Parliamentary Constituency: Roma Kakoma. There you have it in picture, the Speaker's procession just about to come through, signifying that we are about to start the live parliamentary proceedings.
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
No speaker.
Tendency of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those who blend. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise Him, praise Him. Bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. order. Honorable members, I have one announcement to make, and this is to the effect that I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from St. Raphael Secondary School in Livingston District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome you in our midst. Thank you very much. You can take your seat. I have an indication for 3 matters of urgent public importance. Honorable members, you are reminded to comply to the guidelines that have been given on raising issues relating to matters of urgent public importance. The Honorable Member for Nakonde.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Nakonde this chance to raise the matter of urgent public importance, directed at the Minister of Home Affairs. Madam Speaker, the security situation in Nakonde is quite threatening. Not long ago, Madam Speaker, armed robbers robbed a businessman, daylight, and went away with 4 million kwacha. Madam Speaker, also the stray bullet landed on an innocent person who later died. As I'm speaking now, Madam Speaker, another businessman is nursing gunshot wounds in the hospital. Madam Speaker, again today, another businessman has been robbed from Lusaka here, Kanyama compound. Madam Speaker, the victim was struggled by unknown 7 people and went away with some amount of money. Madam Speaker, I wanted to find out if the government has got any measures, urgent measures, that are going to put in place so that the people of Nakonde can be safe, and also those who are going, Madam Speaker, to trade there. I seek your serious guidance. I submit.
Thank you very much. My guidance to the Honorable Member for Nakonde, please put in an urgent question, and then the Minister will be able to respond to that question. Honorable Member for Katombola.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given to the people of Katombola constituents to raise a matter of urgent public importance. Madam Speaker, I rarely raise on urgent matters of public importance. Mine is directed to our beloved Minister, the Minister of Health, on the COVID situation in the country. Madam Speaker, our people are asking, is there an outbreak of COVID? What is the status? We are not able to guide our people correctly, Madam Speaker. On that particular basis, Madam Speaker, I wish to raise this question. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. There's news that the instances of COVID-19 have increased, and us as the Parliament, we need to be given guidance on how we are going to relate and conduct business, and what measures we need to take into account when we are doing conducting our business. I was expecting that this statement would have been made to give us an update on the status of COVID in the country, the current status of COVID in the country. And since the Honorable Member for Katombola has raised it as a matter of urgent public importance, the Honorable Minister of Health can come back to the House on Friday, Friday this week, to give us a status, an update on the status of COVID-19 in the country, so that we take measures to protect ourselves. I've seen that some people are now putting on masks. It's better not to lose the guard. Let's continue to protect ourselves as we wait for an update from the Honorable Minister of Health. Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Petauke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to raise the matter of urgent public importance, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the matter is directed to the Minister of Water. Madam Speaker, the people in my constituency, Petauke Central constituency, Nyika Ward in particular, the people in Showground, Chimate, Stambuli, Garden, Kamfinzi, Fairview, and also Anusa. Therefore, we have stayed 2 weeks without water, Madam Speaker, which has made the people to be miserable in my constituency. As you know that water is life, Madam Speaker. Is the Minister of Water in order to keep quiet?
I seek your guidance, Madam Speaker.
I'm still coming. Is the Minister of Water in order to sit quietly while my people in my constituency, they are depending on the government so that at least they can be given the water? I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. I believe that yesterday the issues of water were being debated in the House following some questions that were asked to the Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. So, Honorable Member for Petauke, that's a constituency-based question. Put in a question which the Honorable Minister will be able to answer. Thank you. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, I saw him. The Honorable Minister was here. Maybe he thought we were going to take long on the matters of urgent public importance. He's here.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I apologize, as you have just said. I assumed that these matters of urgent public attention, importance, would take a bit of time. So I was going to look for my glasses. But however, we are here now, and I thank you for your indulgence. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for giving me this opportunity to update the House and the nation on the state of roads in Northwestern province and efforts being made by the New Dawn government in addressing the challenges faced by our people in the province. This update, Madam Speaker, follows a matter of urgent public importance raised by the Member of Parliament for Petauke Central Constituency, Honorable J. Emmanuel Banda MP, on Friday, 9th June 2023. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member stated, and I quote, Madam Speaker, thank you for giving the good people of Petauke Central the opportunity to present a matter of urgent public importance under Standing Order number 134. The matter is directed at the Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business in the House. There was a serious accident yesterday between Kisasa and Chimba-Milonga, and the victims were rushed to hospital. That road is a death trap. Madam Speaker, the day before yesterday, when the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chama North asked about the road in Chama being worked on, the Honorable Acting Minister of Local Government and Rural Development was very clear that we should take advantage of the increased Constituency Development Fund, CDF, which the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chama North is supposed to use. Madam Speaker, is the Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business in the House in order not to talk to the Honorable Member of Parliament for Mwinlunga to use the CDF to work on that road, which is a death trap? Madam Speaker, I seek your guidance. End of quote. Now, Madam Speaker, in response to the matter of urgent public importance raised by the member, you guided, and I quote, Honorable members, yesterday I gave guidance on what matter qualifies to be raised as a matter of urgent public importance. It must be widespread, be debatable. However, following the question, which was based on the roads in Northwestern province, there has been some discomfort about the state of roads in Northwestern province and the response that the government provided. Maybe just to give comfort to the people of the Northwestern province, the Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business in the House can come back to the House with a statement on Wednesday next week just to clarify the position of the government on the state of these roads, because the people of Northwestern province need to be assured on what the government is doing about these roads so that we can maintain some harmony in the country. End of quote. Now, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Petauke Central Constituency, in raising his matter of urgent public importance, made reference to the road traffic accident and the road as a death trap. I wish to inform the House that preliminary investigations by the Zambia Police Service show that a recording of a road traffic accident along that road on the material date involving a pedestrian was involved in a hit-and-run case. Police records indicate that the unknown driver hit the pedestrian around 004 hours, and the pedestrian sustained serious injuries and was admitted to Solwezi General Hospital. The police are still investigating, and we wish the victim quick recovery. Madam Speaker, the New Dawn government, under the able leadership of His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, recognizes the critical contribution of a good road network and the infrastructure to national development. Our road network facilitates the movement of goods and people and supports productivity in key sectors of our economy, such as agriculture, mining, manufacturing, commerce, and tourism. Madam Speaker, it is public knowledge that the New Dawn government inherited a core road network that was already in a deplorable condition countrywide. An assessment by the Road Development Agency indicates that 80% of the core road network requires immediate improvement and maintenance, as it is in a poor condition and is deteriorating at an alarming rate. This state of affairs is despite the previous government borrowing heavily on account of investing in infrastructure, including roads. One begs the question, where did all the borrowed money go to? Which roads were built with all that borrowed money, which has left this country highly indebted? As I speak, Madam Speaker, just for illustration, the citizens of Zambia are saddled with a debt of about $25.4 million. This equates on our population to each one of us, including babies born yesterday, owing $1,272, equivalent to 24,142 kwacha. Madam Speaker, I wish to state the President's commitment to taking development to all the 10 provinces of this country. I have a message for the people of Northwestern province, and indeed the rest of the country, that this government is committed to addressing the challenges brought about by the poor road network. We are resolved and committed, even in the face of challenging fiscal conditions, to address the poor road network in order to support economic activity and the social transformation. Madam Speaker, allow me now to present the programs that will be implemented in the road sector for the period 2023 to 2026 in the Northwestern province in terms of road rehabilitation, periodic road maintenance, and the road upgrading to bituminous standard. Madam Speaker, on 12th January 2023, Zambia and Angola signed a memorandum of understanding on the construction of the Zambia-Angola connection road via Chimba border. Following the signing of the memorandum of understanding, construction firms from Angola and Zambia have expressed interest to submit proposals to work on the stretch of road on the Zambian side from Chimba to Mutanda via Milonga. Government has since constituted a steering committee of permanent secretaries to speed up the implementation of this MOU. Madam Speaker, I wish to reassure the House and the people of Northwestern Province that government is actively engaged on this project, and once it goes to implementation, it will improve considerably the road infrastructure in that province. Madam Speaker, government has received commitments of support in the amounts of 250 million United States dollars for the development of the Lobito corridor that will connect the western shores of Angola to the borders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia. The development of the Lobito corridor will connect Zambia through Northwestern province to the port of Lobito in the Atlantic Ocean. This will offer a shorter route to the sea for exports of minerals and agricultural output from Northwestern province and the rest of Zambia. Madam Speaker, the current poor state of the 343 kilometers road from Mutanda Tenof to Chimba border via Ikeleng, especially the section after Kisasa to Minilunga, inhibits both usage of the road as it increases the occurrence of traffic accidents, lengthens the time taken to traverse the road, and increases vehicle operation costs. Therefore, emergency holding maintenance works by the Road Development Agency and the Zambia National Service have commenced on the road following the release of Zambian Kwacha 6.5 million. As I speak, Madam Speaker, the tippers and front loaders and other equipment are working on the road. The works are meant to stabilize the road and ensure that it remains motorable. As government, our current priority is to ensure that traffic is able to move along the road while we put in place long-term measures to rehabilitate the road to high-quality international bituminous standards. Government has further given priority to this route for development using the PPP, or public-private partnerships. I must state, Madam Speaker, that government is in a hurry to develop this road and many others that are commercially viable or by leveraging the PPP mode of funding. Madam Speaker, other roads within and connecting the province prioritized for development using PPP partnership include, number one, the upgrading to bituminous standard of 125 kilometers of the Solwezi to Kipushi road and the construction of a one-stop border post at Kipushi border. I wish to inform the House that the Road Development Agency received several unsolicited PPP bids to develop the road and border post. The RDA is currently reviewing and the unsolicited bids for procurement in line with the PPP Act of 2009. Number two, the upgrading to bituminous standard of the 100 kilometers Lumwana West to Kambimba road en route to Kolwezi in the DRC, and the construction of a one-stop border post at Kambimba after Chief Kakoma's place. I wish to update the House that due to the urgency of the project, concession agreement negotiations for this project commenced on 12th June 2023 and are expected to be concluded within the shortest possible time. Number 3, the upgrading to bituminous standard of Landless Corner via Mumbwa to Kasempa, the Road Development Agency has completed procurement of consultants to undertake feasibility and viability studies on the project and is now at the stage of contract award. Number 4, the upgrading to bituminous standard of the road from Kasempa to Kaoma, Luampa, up to Simungoma, onto the Sheke Road. The RDA has received a number of unsolicited local and international proposals to develop this international route, which is part of the Walvis Bay corridor for the export of copper from the mines in Northwestern province and the mines in the Kolwezi in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Madam Speaker, to ease connectivity across rivers and water bodies, government allocated 33 acro bridges to the Northwestern province out of a total 131 bridges procured for the whole country. Due to the fiscal constraints in the installation of these bridges, the installation of these bridges is being undertaken in a phased manner by the Road Development Agency and our security wings. The RDA is currently working with the Zambia Army to install 5 acro bridges in Zambezi West constituency at a total cost of 23,964,153 kwacha 08 ngwe. The Zambia National Service has also been assigned to install 3 acro bridges in Kabompo constituency and are currently making site assessments for costs of installation. Madam Speaker, government is currently implementing the improved rural connectivity project with the support of the World Bank. The World Bank has made available financial support amounting to $200 million for the project. The Northwestern province has been allocated a total of 516 kilometers of roads to be rehabilitated under this program. The rehabilitation of 262 kilometers in Manyinga and Kabompo districts has been awarded to Messrs. Wacom Enterprises Limited at a contract sum of 169,676,114 kwacha, and the works will commence before the end of June. The roads to be covered include part of the Manyinga-Mwinlunga Road via Kashinakaj, a stretch of 108 kilometers from Manyinga to Kasenzi. The 34.1 kilometers Mundanya-Kalyangandu Road. The 31.9 kilometers Kafungo to Kalyangandu Road, and the 87.5 kilometers Kabompo to Kayombo Road. The rehabilitation of 254 kilometers in Kasempa and the Mufumbwe districts is currently under procurement and is likely to be concluded before the end of this quarter. The roads to be covered include the 44.5 kilometers Kelongwa Road, the 93.2 kilometers Kelongwa to Nyoka Road, the 24.1 kilometers Munyambala Road, the 16 kilometers Munyambala to Ishmanga Road, the 11.9 kilometers Givundu Road, the 22.1 kilometers Kasange Road, the 11 kilometers Kakilufia compound to Nyampa Fuka Road, the 15.5 kilometers Mufumbwe boarding school to Kahombo community school, and the 15.7 kilometers Kawama Road. The government has also rolled out the rehabilitation of rural roads using Zambia National Service roads such as the 117-kilometer stretch from Mwinilunga to Kasenzi and the 10 kilometers Kiafukuma to Kabulove roads have been worked on by the Zambia National Service. Construction of the road leading to the source of the Zambezi River in Northwestern Province has been prioritized under the United States $100 million tourism investment program being implemented in the Northern Circuit, Western Circuit, and Northwestern Province. Madam Speaker, His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema recently launched the Decentralized Policy and Implementation Plan to cover the period 2023 to 2027. The New Dawn government is taking development resources and responsibility to our people. Our communities must be masters of their own destiny and drive their own development agenda. Government's role is to empower them to just do that. As government, we are driving the agenda to empower our communities through the increased constituency development funds. Madam Speaker, you may wish to know that most of the districts within Northwestern Province and across the country have planned to purchase earth-moving equipment using the 2023 Constituency Development Fund as a way of improving the conditions of the roads within the constituencies. The process for the purchase of the equipment in the various constituencies is currently at procurement stage. It is envisaged that the condition of the roads within the constituencies in Northwestern Province and across the country will be further improved once the equipment has been procured. Roads in constituencies will be easily rehabilitated by the constituencies themselves. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, I wish to reassure our people in Northwestern Province and the country at large that your government, the New Dawn government of His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, will never abandon you. And to add to that, the people of Northwestern Province were aware for many years they were left behind in development, and that is why it is one of the two provinces that are the poorest in this country. The New Dawn government intends to reverse this because Northwestern Province is a major contributor to the economy of this country. And the people of that province must not listen to voices that might tell them that this New Dawn government is neglecting you as you have been neglected by governments previously. The people of this great country remain a source of inspiration to this government to continue working hard to better their lives wherever they may be. In 2021, we made a solemn promise to develop this country, and we have every intention to keep that promise. We have delivered on our campaign promises. We have delivered on timely disbursement of constituency development funds. Madam Speaker, we shall therefore deliver on the roads and other infrastructure to every part of this great country, including Northwestern Province, as expected by our people. That is our solemn promise to the people of Zambia. Madam Speaker, I don't know why the Honorable Member for Lunte, my favorite MP, is so excited, but I think this is a good statement. You should applaud it. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable members, may I remind honorable members that there are no points of order while a ministerial statement is being delivered. Let's not do things deliberately because we know the rules. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, the Leader of Opposition.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I always value your guidance when you guide the House, that as we take to the floor, let us make statements that build and unite the nation. Unfortunately, the minister has fallen short of that standard, and it's unfortunate. Madam Speaker, for the record, Some of the projects that were done under the PF include the Kazungula Bridge, $240 million, the Tanpak Mazabuka Road, the Bottom Road.
Order, honorable member. Order. Order, order. Order, honorable members, as we ask our questions, let's remain relevant. Let's ask questions relating to the points of clarification arising from the ministerial statement. Let's not make statements. Let's just ask to avoid unnecessary hackling and debating while we are seated. May the honorable leader of opposition continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your guidance. The Chingola Solwezi Road was 1 billion kwacha, and the Mongo Kalabo Road was 4 billion kwacha, the biggest project that has ever been undertaken. Madam Speaker, my question is, Honorable Minister, you have catalogued the number of projects for the people of Northwestern Province. And I think for the point of order that was raised, it was on account of the concerns that were coming from there. Could you just inform the House, maybe in simple terms, how many kilometers of road do you expect to do to high quality bituminous standard in Northwestern Province between now and 2025? I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I thank the leader, the honorable leader of opposition. I think I have tabulated the roads that we are going to do. In case he wants me to repeat, I'll talk about the 100 kilometers, which I stated very clearly there, from the Solwezi turnoff to Kipushi. That's about 110 kilometers. We have talked about the 343 kilometers from Mutanda all the way to Jimbe. That will be done to high quality bituminous standard. We have talked about the road from Lumwana West to Kambimba, which is 100 kilometers. That will be done to high quality bituminous standard. We have talked about the road from Hiken Arts. I've tabulated them. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mwinilunga.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the New Dawn government for listening to the people of Mwinilunga. We had a concern, and I think this concern, as we prayed, has been answered. Now my question is, what is the duration of this rehabilitation program from Chisasa to Mwinilunga? Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I thank the honorable member for Mwinilunga, Honorable Samakai, for raising the concerns on that particular road. I assume that by the duration is asking how long it would take to make that particular portion from Kisasa to Mwinilunga motorable. All I can say is all efforts by way of equipment are being placed on that road to ensure that it is motorable. I know how bad that particular condition is, but I must hasten to add that that is a temporary rehabilitation. Ultimately, we want that particular road on T5 from Mutanda all the way to Jimbe to be an international standard bituminous road. That's what we should focus on. But in the meantime, whatever time it takes to make sure that our people can motor on that particular road, that's what we are doing in the current works. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for according me this opportunity to ask a question to the Minister of Infrastructure. Madam Speaker, Dr. Kaunda promoted the spirit of one Zambia, one nation in this country. And I believe that certain statements which borders on promoting regionalism should not be allowed in this particular house. To state that Northwestern was neglected, I think it's an unfair statement. Madam Speaker, I'm alive to the fact that all the districts in Northwestern Province are connected to tarmac roads, while in Eastern Province we don't have. Most districts are these Chama.
Honorable member. What is your point of clarification? Do not debate.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to find out from...
Honorable member, it's not time for clarification. It's to ask points of clarification. So if you want to debate that issue, you can move a motion. That is the way we do it in Parliament. May you proceed?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the guidance. I want to find out from the Minister, because every time the new Dawn government is talking about private-public partnership, which may not actually be actualized. So do you have a plan B in an event that these roads are not, do not qualify for PP? Not only the Northwestern Province, but also Eastern Province and other provinces in Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. Honorable members, as the questions are being asked and answered, please, can we restrain ourselves from debating while seated? I'm watching. May the Honorable Minister continue.
Madam Speaker, when we address matters of national importance, it is important to be truthful. For a long time, those who study the history of this country will attest to the fact that for many, many, many years, Northwestern Province was known as the poorest, least development province. The second one was Western Province. Well, I have to answer him.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
I have to answer him. Okay. With respect...
Order. Honorable members, can we listen to the...
With
Honorable
respect...
Minister, just say order. Order. Honorable member for Chiengi, please leave the house and don't come back. I will name you now. I'm going to name you if you continue on those lines.
With respect to...
Order. Honorable Minister, as you debate, please... As we debate, please let's avoid issues that are controversial. Let's just address the issues before the House.
How long do you want us to keep quiet?
May you proceed?
We won't keep quiet anymore if you continue. Huh?
With respect to the question asked about whether or not the PPP will result in actualizing these particular projects, Madam Speaker, we are serious. Except it does take time to tie all the loose ends and negotiate this. Already work on the Chingola-Kasumbalesa Road has started, completed as a PPP. Lusaka-Ndola, we have completed that work. Is supposed to start imminently. Kalumbila District work, which is completed as a concession, that's about to start. The Mwenda-Kasomeno Road, again, that's about to be finalized. The Katete-Chanida Road, negotiations have started to complete that particular concession. So it's a serious program. He is asking about Plan B. Plan B is always using our own resources. The President and his team is spending sleepless nights to have the issue of debt resolved. We think, as a government, that this is about to be resolved, delayed as it has been, but this is debt that was left to us by those who were in government before us. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Before we proceed, there are two indications for points of order. One from Honorable Member for Pambashe, the other one for Honorable Member for Katombola. The Honorable Member for Pambashe indicated earlier. What's the point of order?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I detest tribalists.
Order, Honorable Member, if you are talking about, I think I guided. Let's not reopen the wounds. I've already guided. I did guide the minister that let's keep away from issues that tend to divide the country. We should not use this house for that purpose. So if it's bordering on that, Honorable Member, that has been guided.
No, it's coming to Madam Speaker, the factual and the content that we give to this house. Madam Speaker, according to the World Bank economic indicators and the report that was published in 2020, which Zambia is using to make decisions today, clearly states that Luapra province is the poorest province at 94%.
Order, Honorable Member, do not debate. Do not debate. Ask what's your point to order, what is the breach, and then state precisely what is the
Number 65A, the content of speech and the factual information that we give to this house must be verifiable, and the people must be able to trace, and we must be able to give content of the information we give, because, Madam Speaker, this assembly of yours is a gathering of 10 provinces of Zambia, 73 tribes, that when we stand as members representative that are elected to represent the people, Madam Speaker, we must endeavor to give the factual information for the good of the Zambian people out there, for the good of my children who don't belong to any province of Zambia. I don't love debating myself with Madam Speaker and the province that I come from, because it is very painful.
Honorable Member, you are now debating. You were guided.
Madam Speaker, the Minister of Infrastructure deliberately has chosen to mislead the Zambian people in this August House that Northwestern province, my province where my wife comes from, it is the poorest province in
Zambia. Now, the way you address order, Honorable Member for Pambashe, please take your seat first. Let me guide. The very way that you are asking the question is falling in the same trap that I had earlier guided, that as we debate, as we discuss, let's not bring in issues that promote regionalism, tribalism. I think I've guided. So you are now pushing an open door. It has already been. Thank you very much for withdrawing. The Honorable Member for Katombola.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm at pains to raise a serious point of order relating to the conduct of your member, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member for Chienge. My point of order, Madam Speaker, is arising from the provision of Standing Order number 207, which provides for contempt of the House. Considering the conduct of the Honorable Member this afternoon, Madam Speaker, while deliberations of the House were underway, and I'm quoting the provisions of Standing Order 207, 1, 2, and 3, as read with Standing Order 202 on privilege of your members, and 203 on the conduct of members. Madam Speaker, is the Honorable Member of Parliament a respected member who is supposed to be in her second term or something like that, in order to behave like that in the people's house, to stand up and start ranting, despite your guidance, Madam Speaker, she comes back and points at you. Is she in order, Madam Speaker? I need your very serious ruling, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
That's why there was a speaker from South Africa who said, Andelela. So, that is on a lighter note, but I will reserve my ruling on that matter. Let's make progress. Delela means he's underrating me. So please, let's not do that. Let's not do that. I wish she had even carried her cushion. Let's make progress. The Honorable Member for Zambezi East.
Madam Speaker, I am grateful for giving me the opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure. Madam Speaker, through you, I am very disappointed with the statement which has been delivered on the floor of this House by the Honorable Minister. The reason why I am disappointed, and just as the people of Northwestern are disappointed, is the speech does not inspire us in as far as giving us hope as to whether we are going to have a solution to this problem. What I see here, the minister went very well. We are elated, however.
Oh, the Honorable Member for Zambezi East, just ask the point of clarification. Do not use this occasion to debate. No.
Madam Speaker, let me give my point of clarification. The minister gave a very good conclusion to his speech. But of course, all I get from here, especially for the trunk roads, is the PPP approach, which would require some feasibility studies to be concluded in order for them to materialize. What he has failed to give us is the hope to show that these roads will actually be done.
Honorable Member for Zambezi East, please ask your point of clarification. Do not debate. You can move a motion if you want to discuss that issue, but please ask a point of clarification. What is the point of clarification?
The other point of clarification which I want to make, and I'm glad the Minister for Northwestern is seated here. The feeder roads, they have simply shared between him and Kabompo, leaving out all the other districts, not inconsistent with what we had agreed. Madam Speaker, we should not be coming here to be used as rubber stamps to simply agree to anything. Northwestern delivered the best vote.
Order,
Honorable Minister.
Order. Oh, you know, Honorable Member for Zambezi East, I think the idea here is not to come and incite other members so that we have disorder. Just look at the disorder that is happening. I guided.
Madam Speaker, the clarification.
Order, I haven't finished. Order, honorable members. Unless if you want to follow proceedings outside, you continue talking. Order. Honorable Member for Zambezi East. Please, when we are asking points of clarification, it's not to incite the other members so that there is disorder in the House. Just ask your point of clarification. Do not debate. As I've earlier guided, if you feel so strongly about an issue, move a motion. Then you'll be at liberty to debate. But now you are using this asking of point of clarification for debate. That is not allowed. Can you please ask the points of clarification? If you don't have, then don't ask. Can you proceed?
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister is on record, having come on the floor of this House to give a government assurance about Makondu Bridge, among the acro bridges that were supposed to be done. He has mentioned 5 bridges which are going to be done in Zambezi West. Not even a single one, the Makondu Bridge, which is supposed to be done, an acro bridge, and it has a government assurance already given. Why is it not being mentioned? Even the feeder roads, the Nyakulenga route through Dikolonga. We are just hearing of the road in Kabompo to Kayombo, where the Honorable Minister of Defense comes from, and the road for Manyinga, where the Minister for Northwestern comes from.
Member, order.
Why are Zambia?
Order. The Honorable Minister may attempt to answer that question. So many questions were asked anyway.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are not afraid to answer any question. The first point to note here is if we are talking about the acro bridges, which he has made reference to, these, I talked about Northwestern province, that there is a total of 31 bridges allocated to Northwestern province. I only mentioned 5. Out of 5, there are still 26 bridges, which includes the bridge that he's talking about, and many others in Northwestern province. In a statement like that, you give a snippet of that which is available. In terms of the IRCP, Improved Rural Connectivity, we should understand that the amount of money that was given by the World Bank was $200 million. When we came in as a new Dawn administration, first of all, there were 4 provinces that were left out. That was Western Province, Lusaka Province, Copperbelt Province, and Northwestern Province. But by the time we came out, there was still an amount of $45 million out of that 200. That is what was allocated to the provinces that were left out. And on the floor of this House, we have made a commitment that we shall apply for a further amount on the Improved Rural Connectivity Program so that we can address especially the areas that were left out. But out of that amount that we're able to recover from the first lot, the bridges or the roads that we have talked about are the ones that have been taken into account. The rest will be taken into account in the next phase. In terms of the answers to this question, I confined myself to the improved rural connectivity roads, which I tabulated. Other roads are also being done, and others are being done using CDF. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The best would be maybe for the Honorable Member for Zambezi East to visit the Honorable Minister and have a chat and see how best you can iron out your misunderstandings. Honorable members, there is an indication for a point of order, but I can't remember some of your constituencies. So if you just stand, I don't know whether it's Mukushi North or Mukushi South. Yes. If you can't use your gadget, help me by sending a note. Yes. Don't just stand, because you've been trying to raise your point of order, even when the minister was giving his ministerial statement, which is not allowed. What is the point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you take judicial notice that on the 6th, last week on Tuesday, the Minister then of Infrastructure, who was acting, Honorable Frank Tayari, was asked a question about roads, the following roads: Mutanda Chavuma, Kasempa Kaoma Tanof, Kasempa Mumbwa, Kalumbira Mwinulunga, Mwinulunga Ikerenge, Manyinga Mwinulunga.
What bridge has been what bridge?
The inconsistency, Madam Speaker.
What standing order?
65.
65
Being
what?
factual.
65 what? Be specific so that will help us.
65B, 1B, Madam Speaker. Ensure that the information
proceed, yes, proceed concisely to raise the point of order.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member from Fumbwe asked this question, and the response from the Minister was that the government is not ready to work on these roads. The answering is there. The Honorable Minister today, within a space of 1 week, the government now is ready. Are they in order to give different statements on the same issues, Madam Speaker. I seek your serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
Okay, that issue can be only cleared when we look at the Hansard. But from my recollection, what the acting minister was saying then was that when funds are available, he didn't say that they were not ready now. So I find no inconsistency there. Maybe the honorable minister, well, I don't want to speculate, but the honorable acting minister then said when funds are available. And that is what prompted the matter of urgent public importance, so that the minister can come here and be more clear on when those funds will be available. That is my recollection. So the honorable minister is in order. May we proceed? The honorable member for Petauke Central is the one who raised the matter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke to ask a follow-up question on the Minister of Infrastructure. First, I want to thank the cause coming from Winnie-Lunga, especially from the chief, for appreciating to raise the matter of urgent and the encouragement that I should keep on raising the matter of public importance.
Order, honorable member. Order, honorable member for Petauke. We have a lot of work on our order paper. And there are so many other members who would want to ask questions. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, over 20 members. So you are squandering time by talking about things which are not necessarily relevant to the question. Can you ask your question precisely?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thanks a lot, Honorable Minister, that you have responded quickly and you have said that people on that road starting working on the road between Kisas and Winnie-Lunga. Now the question is, Honorable Minister, here, if I'm not mistaken, you have said that you are going to work on the roads Kipushi, or Sorowezi to Kipushi, which is in Northwestern province, Landres Corner to Mumbwa, which is in Central province, Kasempa to...
What is the point of clarification, honorable member?
Kasempa to Kaoma, which is in Northwestern and Western. Now, what about these other areas? Because you know the issue of the roads minister, even in Eastern province, Vubwi Chipata, Chadiza Chipata, Katete, Chama, there's outcry all over. When are you also going to mention these other?
Order, honorable member for Petauke Central, you are out of order. Honorable member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the minister did indicate the program of tarring the road from the Mutanda turn-off to Winnie-Lunga. I would want to hear when exactly the works between the Mutanda turn-off and Winnie-Lunga will begin. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, I thank the Honorable Member for Pambashe for raising the follow-up question. What we have stated is this Mutanda to Winnie-Lunga, Ikeling, and all the way to Jimbe is part of the roads that for which we signed an MOU with the government of Angola. So they do their side and we do our side. And this is subject to the bids that we have received already, so that they undertake this road on a PPP. Now, PPP, you cannot always determine that I will take so many months to be able to undertake it. What is important is that what is received is properly evaluated, and the negotiations are undertaken to ensure that the concessionaire
is the right concessionaire. I did state in my statement that we have received bids or expressions of interest through bids from companies in Angola that want to do the whole stretch from Angola right up to Mutanda, and also Zambian companies. These are what we are evaluating. When we have evaluated and concluded discussions, that is what will determine the amount of time that the project will take, and this House will be informed when we reach that stage. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mfumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the Honorable Minister for coming back to this House so that he can assure the people of Northwestern Province what the new Dawn government is trying to do for them. Indeed, Northwestern, we can't run away from that. Northwestern was left out most of the time.
The Honorable Member, what's the point of clarification?
The point of clarification, I want to thank you, Honorable Minister, for the roads that you have given to the people of Mfumbwe under the improved road connectivity. However, the people of Mfumbwe would like to find out, when are these roads going to be done? Because I didn't hear you very well. We have heard those roads in Kabompo and Manyinga, which are about to start. How about those in Mfumbwe and Kasempa? When are you going to do them?
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Member for Mfumbwe. This is what happened. Out of the $60 million, the roads were advertised, and the companies put in their offers. And during the evaluation process, certain number of roads contracts were signed to the total value of $15 million, leaving an outstanding amount of $45 million. And then at that stage, we had communication from the World Bank that they needed to move that money to another area of expenditure within Zambia. That's $45 million. So which meant that the roads on which we had not signed remained in abeyance. We engaged the World Bank. And through that engagement, this money was retained, and we have given instructions that for the rest of the $45 million, including the roads that the member from Mfumbwe has said, negotiations must start so that those contracts are signed. As soon as those contracts are signed, we shall then know when works will start. But on each and every one of those roads that I've mentioned, there are offers from contractors, and it just remains to have the contract signed, and the work will start. Just like on the first $15 million, where work has already started. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. We have run out of time, but before we conclude that, Honorable Member for Petauke Central, you were curtailed because you were not listening to guidance. I was guiding you, but you kept on doing the same thing, so I had to curtail you because we have time restrictions. We have to attend to as many members as possible. So there is nothing about treating you wrongly here. So you are guided. Please follow the instructions as you are given, or guidance as you are given. Questions for oral answer, understanding order 74. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 288.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Chimba-Milonga, Member of Parliament for Kalabo Central, is asking the Minister of Energy two questions. Whether the government has any plans to construct an oil pipeline between Namibia and Zambia, and if so, when construction will commence. Madam Speaker, the answer to A is, the government, through the Ministry of Energy, has plans to construct an oil and natural gas pipeline between Namibia and Zambia. In the last 2 years, both the Zambian and Namibian governments have reached a mutual agreement on the content of the Memorandum of Understanding, with the priority focus on enhancing economic cooperation between the two countries in the petroleum subsector. The Intergovernmental Memorandum of Understanding sets the terms and understanding between the Republic of Zambia, represented by the Ministry of Energy, and the Republic of Namibia, represented by the Ministry of Mines and Energy, to support and facilitate the implementation of the private sector-led Namibia-Zambia Refined Petroleum, Multi-Product and Natural Gas Pipelines Project, commonly known as NAZOP. The MOU was signed on 6th of October 2022. The total project is private sector financed and is estimated at $15 billion, broken down as follows: $10 billion for the gas power plant, while $5 billion for the pipelines. The construction is expected to commence in mid-2026, and completion is expected by mid-2029. The feasibility studies for the projects of this nature and magnitude will take 2 years, from this year, 2023, to 2025. The NAZO pipeline system, when completed, is envisioned to supply 100,000 to 120,000 barrels per day of refined petroleum products along hubs in Namibia and Zambia. The NAZO pipeline system is also targeting supplying other countries in the SADC region from its main terminal to be based around the Lusaka area. The pipeline will be built to supply natural gas to combined cycle gas turbines plants to be located in Namibia and Zambia to produce electricity of a combined minimum of 2,000 megawatts to supply Namibia, Zambia, and other countries in the region via the Southern African Power Pool. Further, the pipeline is expected to employ between 12,500 and 14,500 indigenous people in Namibia and Zambia during construction. Madam Speaker, allow me to give some additional information for clarity. The question will be, why is the pipeline terminating in Lusaka? I think that is a question that might come. Lusaka is more centrally located for distribution of finished products. In addition to this, it is preferable to construct the 10,000 megawatt gas power plant near the load centers, of which Lusaka is. The cost of transporting via pipeline will be cheaper than the current arrangement where the product is transported via road. Consequently, more people will be employed. It will be used the gas will also be used for cooking, heating, and other industrial uses. The government will also promote the use of gas in cars. There has been large quantities of proven reserves of natural gas. So the question will be, why Namibia? The answer was, there has been large quantities of proven reserves of natural gas that has been discovered off the coast of Namibia. There's also easy access to the Namibian port. The flexibility of the pipeline is that there is no need of a refinery, and Namibia has a favorable flat terrain which is more suitable. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I appreciate the response from the Minister. This project, which is envisaged to commence in 2026, what would be the expected lifespan of this supply. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Normally, projects of this nature are usually planned to last at least a minimum of 25 years. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a follow-up question to the Minister of Energy. Minister, you have informed this August House that there's a pipeline that will run from Namibia into Zambia. I want to find out, and I'm sure the members of the public are interested to know, what is our stake as Zambia in this project? Are we going to use IDC to hold shareholding in this project? Are we going to use ZCCM-IH to hold shares in this project, or it's a 100% owned by a private entity? What is our shareholding and stake in this project? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that question. Madam Speaker, this is a private sector-led project, and the promoters are Vasali Valiseli Resources Limited. I submit.
Thank you. That must be a rosy name. Vasali Valiseli. I'm just guessing. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have given us the total cost of the project. Then you have also given us the duration or the time frame for the feasibility study to be done in 2 years or so. Now, I wanted to find out if it is possible with you, if you can share with this House the figures or the cost of that feasibility study. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Sorry, Madam Speaker, I don't have those figures, but I can get back to the House and produce the actual figures on feasibility studies that is being currently undertaken. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, arising from what had happened, is it a month ago on the Tanzania-Zambia oil pipeline where we lost a lot of fuel, is there any sophisticated security measure that you are going to put across as you come up with this Angola-Zambia oil pipeline, which will be more complex, so that once a damage is made, an alarm is immediately given out, so that at least maintenance is done as soon as possible? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. At the time that I was asking the Honorable Member for Sinazongwe, there was only one indication. I'm closing the list. The Honorable Member for Pambashe will be the last. But the Honorable Member for Chiluvi. Sorry, the Honorable Minister of the Member for Chiluvi comes in.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The answer to that is basically yes. This project will come with all sophisticated security features, and the way it will be laid out is a security matter which I cannot comment on, but it will be properly secured. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chiluvi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to believe, if I followed him, he was talking about a pipeline coming from Namibia to Zambia. And recently, the president was in Angola talking about another pipeline. And I am getting confused of how we will manage, how we will manage a lot of pipelines, because even the Tazama one is landing, and I think when it comes to the tapping oil, really, and whatever it may be, undertaking investment in that area is not child's play. So I wanted to find out from the Minister of how the government to be managing all these pipelines. Yes.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member for Chiluvi is not ambitious. This government is quite ambitious in what we do. There's no problem in Zambia having 3 pipelines. Actually, we are even planning another gas pipeline to come in from Tanzania into Zambia. We are going to do these gas pipelines so that we can produce more power, electricity generation out of this project. So I don't see why we should not strive to be ambitious and create more jobs and be the hub for power generation and export to other countries, as I've made.
Thank you. The last question will be from the Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I see the Minister mixing energy and be the hub for export and importing of gas. So we are talking about gas and petroleum pipes. The point raised by the Member of Parliament for Sinazongwe, or Sinazongwe is very critical, the Minister, for the security of the nation. Extremely very critical. We cannot gloss over it. Minister, you may be aware that these are conflict minerals because petroleum product is a mineral. For you to run these pipelines, I'm aware there's one coming from Angola, one will be coming from Mozambique, and another one from Tanzania. What security measures are you putting in place to making sure that the economic activities does not dilute the interest of security for this nation? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I thought I'd addressed the issue of security. This cannot be detailed in this August House. If the Honorable Member is free to come and sit with us so that the promoters can go through with him on the security arrangements, is free to do that as submit.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chimba-Milonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 289.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. Elias Musonda, the Member of Parliament for Chimba-Milonga, is asking the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development at A, whether government has any plans to rehabilitate the following roads in Chimba-Milonga Parliamentary Constituency: Roma Kakoma Mupandi Kabompo Road, Kananda Katele Road, Kapinda Tenov to Kashikishi, Tupele to Mikose, Mwewa Munwa to Cholwe, Chilemba, Kapisha, and last but not least, Katwatwa to Banda Roads. And at B, he's asking if there are plans, when they will be implemented. At C, he wishes to know the estimated cost of these projects. At D, he wants to know the estimated time for completion of these projects. And at E, if there are no such plans, he wants to know the reason why. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development wishes to respond as follows. At A, government does not have immediate plans to rehabilitate the listed roads in the Chimba-Milonga parliamentary constituency. At B, the plans of the said projects are not yet in place. At C, it therefore follows that there will be no cost estimates that have been done on the listed roads, as there are no immediate plans. Please mark the word immediate plans. At D, the road sector financing is currently highly constrained, resulting in government not taking any new road contracts at this present moment. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chimba-Milonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Currently, the Kakoma Roma Kawombo Road is in a deplorable state to the extent that FRA has failed to collect maize which they bought during the 2021-2022 farming season. Is government considering using ZNS to do some remedial works so that this road becomes passable? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam, thank you for the opportunity, and thank the Honorable Member of Parliament for a follow-up question. And I wish to respond as follows. By first acknowledging and with regret that the people of these areas called Roma, Kakoma, Mupandi, to Kabompo Road have no access to the market of their crops. It's totally regrettable. He also wishes to know whether government has any immediate plans for the Zambia National Service to go and get some remedial measures so that the people of Chimba-Milonga can have access to their markets. The response is, colleague, last year, when we cancelled the road contracts that had been done prior to our taking over the responsibility of running this country, I stood here upon sharing information with the Minister of Finance, who indicated that those who have a dire situation, such as washed away crossing points, must quickly approach the office so that contingent measures could be done in order to assist our people. And I can confirm that several members of parliament did come to approach the office, and they were attended to. My advice to you, Honorable Musonda, is kindly approach the office so that we look at your situation as it exists, see the merits of the situation, and see if we can find contingent measures to assist our people to get their crops to the market. I wish to also state that I admire your generosity of honesty when you say that the crop of 2021 is the one that is still marooned in Chimba-Milonga at these areas. A submission really that informs the House that this problem is not a problem of today, but a problem that started a while ago. We are in a hurry to make the entire country connectable via roads, except for what I said earlier on in my response, that we are constrained by budgetary reasons, and as we get along, we seek your support to work together with yourself to at least serve the people whose interests and aspirations you are serving. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chimba-Milonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't totally agree with the Minister saying that the officers were not approached. In fact, sometime last year, RDA and the council were tasked to do assessments, and they did assessments on 3 roads, which brought the estimated cost to about 154 million. But I take cognizance of the fact that the Honorable Minister has invited me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Chimba-Milonga. For in the interest of your constituents, the Honorable Minister has invited you. Please use that opportunity to address your concerns. I will take 2 more questions. The Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I peruse through the Yellow Book, I find that among the development aspects that government wants to take on board is the Cassava Bay, meaning that Cassava Bay is a hotspot for tourism. And some of the roads that the honorable member has pointed to lead to the mouth of what is called Mutundu, which is at 5 kilometers to Nsumbu, and then going to Cassava Bay itself. Out of possibly the 250 million that have been budgeted for, especially take into consideration that there is Cassava Bay, that government is already pumping in something. Can't part of the 250 million, which is under the Ministry of Infrastructure that has been budgeted for roads, be used to facilitate integrated development?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam, let me thank the Member of Parliament for Chilubi for his question. But maybe in answering his question, I must cue from the immediate past comment from the Member of Parliament for Chimba-Milonga, where he indicated that the RDA had gone to do an assessment of these roads. It's just a gentle reminder that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development is different from the Ministry of Infrastructure, where RDA is domiciled. And therefore, sometimes in asking these questions, we should, as much as possible, not mix oranges and apples in doing comparisons, contrasts, and so on and so forth. And so relating to the question from my colleague from Chilubi, again, the construction of the Cassava Bay Airport is a matter that has been on the card for this country by successive governments to open up the North Circuit. His question would be in line with an example that I'll give, Madam Speaker. We've just commenced refurbishing the Kasama Airport because we believe that that region can help to do our regional connectivity with our neighbors. So your question, Honorable Member of Parliament for Chilubi, would be equated to asking me, are you able to take some money off the project for Kasama Road, which is backed by a BOQ with figures tied to, in order to patch up the roads to Chief Nkolemfumu's place? It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. The money that we budgeted for the Cassava Bay Airport is not transferable to do the Kakoma Mpandi Kabompo Road. Unless I didn't get you right, I thought you said Kuruntri Valley, but maybe to put it more clear terms, the Cassava Airport is under the domicility of the Ministry of Infrastructure and not my ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Mandevo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to find out from the Honorable Minister because I sympathize with the people of Chimba-Milonga. And for their Member of Parliament to ask the question, it means he's seeking solutions for his people. And the answer given really does not give hope to the people of Chimba-Milonga. Minister, the left and the right are in partnership to work for our people. Would you tell the House, as much as you are constrained with resources to do roads, that perhaps in 2025, 2026, you'll be able to do these roads as requested by the people of Chimba-Milonga? Thank you so much.
Thank you. I believe I heard the Minister inviting the Honorable Member from Chimba-Milonga to go to the office to have a discussion. Maybe that is a solution, but I will ask the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development to answer.
Thank you very much again, Madam Speaker. And thank you, my son, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Mandevu for your sympathies to the people of Chimba-Milonga. This document I have here is called the 10-Year Road Sector Implementation Plan 2022 to 2031. And in this document, which is an executive summary, I wish to just explain, with your indulgence, Madam Speaker, the way the road sector is as we found it, so that you can have a fair appreciation of what you may seem to be saying, lack of hope for the people of Chimba-Milonga, who we dearly love. The problems that we had, Madam Speaker, in the last government was that there was lack of coordination on medium and long-term road sector implementation plan. There was lack of coordination. There was lack of coordination in the medium to long-term road sector investment plan in the last 8 or 9 years. There was lack of short-term planning, which led to use of single sourcing, limited selection methods of procurement, Madam Speaker, and not using detailed designs, including engineers' estimates, which resulted to very high inflated cost of constructing a road per kilometer. These are the things that we detected. There was inadequate budgetary provisions for annual work plans, resulting to the spreading of available thin resources to many unplanned projects. Because what used to happen before, Madam, is that for political expedience, contracts projects were signed in an arbitrary manner. I've said this standing here, and I'm saying this with the greatest respect to those who caused this problem. And to imagine that they must be now the ones to come and ask me to organize myself in providing the services to the very people who they failed to serve becomes a fallacy. Becomes a fallacy, yes. We care for the people of Chimba-Milonga, and this document, when you have time, pass around the office, look at it, contribute to it where you see it having flaws. And then together we can say we are in partnership. But the moment you come and say you have no appreciation, Madam, right now I'm grappling with closures of accounts on these roads so that those who did work in the ministry that I'm privileged to run should be paid their money. They left a debt mountain, a huge debt mountain in this sector. These ones here.
I think that is now going to cause order. Just sit down. Honorable Minister, please, let's not point at the other people. You've given a background. It's sufficient. Let's not point at each other. You may wind up.
I need not overemphasize the point. I think I've answered adequately the challenges that we are facing and how we are trying to resolve it. And challenges that were caused by our erstwhile governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we make progress? There is an indication for a point of order. Honorable Member for Petauke Central. You know, we have a lot of work on the order paper. What's the point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
No, there is yours. Honorable Member for Lunta, I dealt with yours in anticipation because you want. We need to make progress. We have work on the order paper which we need to go through. Honorable Member for Petauke, quickly raise your point of order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the point of order is directed to the Member of Parliament for Chiluvi, Honorable Fuwe. 65B. Madam Speaker, on a point of order in the book 135, a matter of urgent public importance, may be qualified.
Order, honorable member for Petauke Central, please, don't squander time like that. We have a lot of work. We have a lot of work. Please take your seat. The honorable member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise on a point of order on the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development with respect to the content of speech. Madam Speaker, the Minister on the floor of the House says that in the past 9 years or so, there was uncoordinated planning due to such issues as single sourcing. Madam Speaker, the current debate on the Lusaka-Ndola dual carriageway is single sourced. The current debate...
The honorable member, I've guided before. If they want to challenge the minister for any reason for what he has said, there's a procedure that we can follow. We don't need to raise a point of order in that manner. That is what the minister has said. That is what his report is saying. If you believe that that is not the correct position, there's a procedure. You can still challenge the minister in other established ways in accordance with our standing orders. That does not qualify to be raised as a point of order for now because of what he has said. You can follow the procedure, look at the standing orders, or seek some assistance and put in a complaint or something to show that what the honorable minister is not, what he is saying is not truthful. That would help.
But he has breached the standing order.
Even if he has breached, put it in writing. Put it in writing. That is, because if you are saying that he has breached, he has said something, that is what you are saying, that he has said something. How will I know that that is the correct position? Or just wait, sit down, just wait. The minister has given his position. You are saying the position is not correct. Now, how will I know whether what the minister said is correct or not correct if you have nothing laid on the table to confirm what you are saying? That's why I'm saying, listen first. What I'm saying is, do a complaint, attach your evidence, and then we can attend to that issue. I can't attend to it now because I have no evidence to rely upon. Even if I reserve the ruling, what evidence are you going to produce later? I'm even giving you an opportunity to do a proper job in terms of raising that point of order that you want to raise. Raise a complaint. Before we leave this point, I wish to announce that the Minister of Infrastructure, who was then acting Minister of Finance yesterday in that debate over the 65 million, has come with a deposit as ordered. So may the Honorable Minister lay the same order. May the Honorable Minister lay the deposit slips on the table. Members wishing to verify will go to publication. There is no need to make a statement. May the Honorable Minister lay the documents on the table. Don't worry, Honorable Member for Lunte, they will be availed to you through the Publications Department. So let's make progress. Let's make notes of motion. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Madam Speaker, I rise to propose that this House urges government to actualize the provision of health services to the poor and the vulnerable under the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Is the motion seconded?
Madam Speaker, it is seconded.
Order. Seconded by the Honorable Member for Milenge. The question is, Milenge. Oh, no, the problem is I got information that the Honorable Member for Nkana was out and the Honorable Member for Milenge was going to second. Now that he is back, I didn't see that he was back. Too many notes also, I'm getting too many notes. Honorable Member for Peta, okay, please desist from sending notes to me. Seconded, order. Seconded by the Honorable Member for Nkana. The question is that this House urges the government to actualize the provisions of the health services under the National Health Insurance Scheme to the poor and vulnerable. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Allow me, first of all, Madam Speaker, to thank you most sincerely for allowing me to bring this matter to Parliament, a matter, Madam Speaker, that is very critical to the welfare of the people out there. I am grateful also, Madam Speaker, for authorizing that this matter be debated today, the 14th of June 2023. Madam Speaker, in the year 2018, in this particular Parliament, a very important piece of legislation was passed, and that piece of legislation, Madam Speaker, is the National Health Insurance Act, number 2 of 2018. The following year, 2019, Madam Speaker, a statutory instrument was signed to provide regulations on how national health insurance will be implemented. Madam Speaker, if you go to Section 5 of the National Health Insurance Act, the law empowers an organization called NIMA to manage health insurance. Under Section 63, Madam Speaker, of the law prescribes 4 different categories of persons who are exempted from paying for NIMA. Under Section 16A, Madam Speaker, the first group of people who are exempted are those who are disabled and are not able to work. Because we have people that are disabled, Madam Speaker, who are able to work. So the first exemption, Madam Speaker, in the law are those who are disabled and are not able to work. The second exemption in the law, Madam Speaker, are persons that are above the age of 65. The third exemption in the law, Madam Speaker, are persons who are defined to be poor and vulnerable. And I'm aware, Madam Speaker, that people have been asking who is a poor and vulnerable person. Madam Speaker, Section 16 is very instructive, that the Department of the Social Welfare, which is under the Ministry of Community Development, is supposed to establish those who are poor and those who are vulnerable. So Section 16C, Madam Speaker, describes the criteria for determining a person who is poor and who is vulnerable. And I'm very certain, Madam Speaker, that in each of the 156 constituencies in Zambia, we have people that can be established to be poor and vulnerable,
using the criteria of the Social Welfare Department. Madam Speaker, the last category of people that are exempted from paying for NEMA are those that can be given a prescription by the minister in charge. Simply put, Madam Speaker, Section 16D empowers the minister to determine people that are vulnerable that need to be assisted under the law. Madam Speaker, why have I taken time to indicate or refer to the legislation that governs this particular matter? Madam Speaker, the spirit of the law in 2018 was to identify two categories of people. People who are able to earn money, ourselves and many others that have an opportunity to work, and who are able to contribute towards what are called NEMA fees. And then the second category, Madam Speaker, is what I've labored to indicate to this August House. People who can't afford to pay, yet they require health care, yet they need to be attended to at the earliest convenience. Madam Speaker, it will be important before I move to the justification for this motion to inform this August House, as well as inform this nation, that currently NEMA has only accredited 375 health facilities. Out of the 375 health facilities in Zambia, 150, Madam Speaker, are public health facilities. And these are first-level hospitals that are prescribed according to the regulations. Now, Madam Speaker, if out of 375, we only have 150 public health services, it simply means, Madam Speaker, that if we have a patient today in the rural setup of Zambia, where there's no first-level hospital, those individuals cannot access health facilities under NEMA accreditation. And that is why today, Madam Speaker, when I was coming here trying to put together my thoughts on this particular motion, I wanted, Madam Speaker, each one of us to remember that the spirit of the law was not to cater only for those who are working. The spirit of the law, and in the wisdom of all the members of parliament who were present when the law was passed, was that we are going to have two categories of beneficiaries. Those who are able to pay, Madam Speaker, and those who are not able to pay. And it is very clear, Madam Speaker, from the guidelines on the utilization of funds from NEMA, that as we stand here today, there are people who can't access health facilities because they've not been captured under NEMA. And that is why today, Madam Speaker, I want to appeal to this August House that the spirit of this motion is very clear. This is not about coming up with a new law. We are not asking this August House today, Madam Speaker, to come up with a draft law which we are going to debate, it goes to a committee, and then it comes back here. We are simply saying the law was already structured. I'm simply saying, Madam Speaker, that an institution called NEMA already exists. What is remaining now is for us to actualize the provisions of the law to its full extent. Because if today, Madam Speaker, people who are formally employed are told you have to wait for 5 days for us to get authorization before you are attended to, what about the vulnerable and poor people whose income is not even determined? When will they receive the required health care? So I stand here, Madam Speaker, today to appeal to the conscience of the members of parliament that are gathered here today. We have two responsibilities, Madam Speaker. One to the current generation, and secondly to the future generation. Have we done enough to capture the poor and vulnerable? In as far as NEMA is concerned, the answer is no. Have we provided mechanisms in place to provide access to health care for our people in the rural parts of Zambia, in the urban setups where there are no first-level hospitals within the shortest walking distance? The answer, Madam Speaker, is no. So I stand here, Madam Speaker, given my privileged position to speak to this August House, to appeal that the only responsibility we have today is to agree that we need to actualize the provisions of the law. And in actualizing the provisions of the law, Madam Speaker, government has gone 3 or 4 steps in terms of the commencement of construction of infrastructure. Because to provide healthcare, you need infrastructure. That is not the discussion for today. The discussion for today, Madam Speaker, is that the poor people in Mulenga compound in Kamfinsa constituency should be able to be captured under the NIMA policy in as far as registration is concerned, in as far as the social welfare department is concerned, so that when they want to seek health care, Madam Speaker, there should be no restriction that prevents them from accessing health care. So I stand here, Madam Speaker, and I want to summarize my submission. Number 1, the National Health Insurance Act is very clear that there shall be 2 types of beneficiaries, those who are able to afford and those who are not able to afford. Number 2, statutory instrument number 69 of 2019 allows for the regulations on how NIMA shall govern its activities. Point number 3, Madam Speaker, the definition of a poor and vulnerable person is prescribed in the law. I'm not asking that we come up with a new definition. I'm simply saying, Madam Speaker, that the law is very clear. Our role today, our legacy as this August House, Madam Speaker, is to ensure that we actualize the provisions of the law to the full extent that the poor and vulnerable will be able to access health care. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Nkana.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for giving me an opportunity to second this motion that has been raised by the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kamfinsa. Let me start, Madam Speaker, by stating that it is not a disputable fact that NIMA has become a game changer in as far as the provision of health, and let me state, quality health care is concerned in this country. And as I start making my submission, Madam Speaker, I want to make an appeal that as opposed to many other motions that have been brought to this August House that otherwise could be dubbed political or controversial, this motion is straightforward, Madam Speaker. It speaks to the need to provide quality health care to the poor people. When we sit here, sponsored by the very poor people out in our communities, they too are expecting us to speak for them on the need for them to be able to access nothing but quality health care. Madam Speaker, I want to speak as simple as I can so that the larger parliament out there can understand what we are trying to say today. In the wisdom of the parliamentarians that sat before us, they saw the gap that existed in the name of the provision of quality health care. For a very long time, Madam Speaker, there has been a challenge, which challenge we still have today, in as far as providing quality health care is concerned in our health facilities. Today, we speak every day, almost every other day, over the absence of equipment in the hospitals and essential drugs. NIMA has complemented or supplemented that gap that existed previously. Because whereas you cannot access these quality provisions in government facilities on account that you don't have sufficient funds, you are able at a very small fee to access these quality health care in other institutions provided they are accredited to NIMA. Madam Speaker, in the wisdom of the legislators, the issue of solidarity was used, namely that those who can afford to pay for health services on account that they are a working class, they should be making contribution towards a stable fund that can be used in the provision of quality health care. But they thought that we needed not to be selfish in only looking after our interest. They also thought of those people who cannot afford. Because, Madam Speaker, for your interest, today when somebody falls sick in our communities, they have to access, whether we like it or not, health care. Now, to access health care, it's either you are going to a public institution, health institution, or you are going to a private health institution. To go to a public, or rather to a private health institution, you have to pay something, Madam Speaker. Now, even if we dropped the requirement of paying for these health facilities to a 10 kwacha, Madam Speaker, the fact still remains that there are some people in our communities, on account of the challenges of the economy, who cannot even afford to contribute a 10 kwacha towards the provision or the access of health services. These are the people that we are speaking to. These are the people that are captured in this motion that we've moved today, that we need to actualize. Because, Madam Speaker, the underlying statement, as mentioned by the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa, is that we are not asking for a new law. We are asking this Parliament to urge government to actualize an existing law. This motion, Madam Speaker, is not bringing a financial implication on government, because the monies are already being raised through the contribution of those that are already contributing to NEMA. All we are indicating now, Madam Speaker, is that the law dictates that we must also care for those who are vulnerable. Those who are vulnerable, Madam Speaker, the mover of the motion has clearly indicated, we are talking about the aged. Before my father died, Madam Speaker, he was beyond the age of 65. When his health was ailing, we registered him under NEMA. He was able to access quality health care under NEMA. That is what this motion is speaking to. Those people who cannot afford to access quality health care must be able to access through the majority who are in the working class today. Madam Speaker, I want to put it on record, as opposed to many other times when motions have been about the right versus the left. This side is making a lot of noise, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable former Minister of Infrastructure and current Minister of Infrastructure, please, you are disrupting the debate being done by the Honorable Member for Nkana. Consult quietly. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me emphasize, Zambia is a signatory to the United Nations. The United Nations Development Goal number 3 speaks to universal health coverage. And Madam Speaker, it would interest you to note that in 2023, Zambia came up with a national health strategic plan, which will run from 2022 last year into 2026. This plan, Madam Speaker, envisages a nation of a healthy and productive people. The idea, Madam Speaker, is to create an opportunity where health provision is closer to the people. These are the people we are speaking to, Madam Speaker, today, who do not have the capacity to be able to afford to pay for quality health care. But the consolation, Madam Speaker, is that somebody is paying for them. I know, Madam Speaker, that those that may stand to oppose this motion who bring in issues of NEMA being suppressed, because the cases today that are being recorded, people that are going to claim, have risen from about 5,000 to 300,000. Somebody is going to argue, Madam Speaker, that the income at NEMA has slowed down in comparison to the claims that are being made. I would like to urge this august House. There is a way we can deal with that challenge, Madam Speaker. Number one, the contribution that are made by people that are making a contribution to NEMA is at 1% of net. The practice is that for insurance, like the NAPSA, it is kept at gross, meaning that we still do have a leeway to move the contributory rate from what the 1% not being on the net, the 1% can be raised to be deducted on gross. because that will provide enough resources for NEMA to be able to meet the monthly payouts. Number two, Madam Speaker, the actuarial study informed the need to have put the contributory rate at 4%, but we kept it at 1%. We can change the law to raise it from 1% to 2% because it will raise more money for NEMA. Madam Speaker, I appeal to the conscience of the members that this is a motion that needs to be supported. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Chimwemwe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. May I thank the mover of the motion and seconder of the motion. Madam Speaker, the people of Chimwemwe would also debate on the motion because most of our people are also affected. Madam Speaker, I'll be concise and brief, and I'll look at funding of NEMA. Madam Speaker, where are we going to get the funds to incorporate the vulnerable and the poor? Madam Speaker, we're not asking government to subsidize in order to incorporate these people. Madam Speaker, what we're trying to say is we intend to see NEMA start operating just like NAPSA. Madam Speaker, NEMA's got some unused funds, the funds that they can invest. Madam Speaker, we hope NEMA can start investing those funds in short-term investments. Madam Speaker, these instruments could be treasury bills, they could be high-yield savings accounts. Madam Speaker, they could also be CDs. Madam Speaker, out of every 1,000 people that contribute to NEMA, only about 40% actually use NEMA. Madam Speaker, people like middle managers, and senior staff, Madam Speaker, usually have two schemes. They have their own medical scheme from their companies, and they also have NEMA. Rarely do they use NEMA. Madam Speaker, that money that remains unused, Madam Speaker, that's the money that we're talking about. The money that they can actually invest in actually treasury bills or any other instrument that would actually ensure that they get a reasonable return. Madam Speaker, some people would argue that we still have hospitals that accommodate people that actually called the vulnerable. Madam Speaker, if you really look at our hospital standards, Madam Speaker, we are looking at something that's discriminatory. We have the high cost and we have the low cost. Madam Speaker, in actual sense, the services that you get from low cost, Madam Speaker, are not the same as high cost. The queues at the low cost, Madam Speaker, are so long, and there's no emergency, Madam Speaker. It's first come, first served. This is the kind of principle that they look at. Madam Speaker, we're trying to see that that person from Chimwemwe, that person that is old, like the mover of the motion said, that person that's vulnerable, Madam Speaker, gets to the hospital, Madam Speaker, and gets to any hospital, Madam Speaker, of their choice. Because, Madam Speaker, this provision of having to make money from investments, Madam Speaker, was actually tailored when NEMA was created. Madam Speaker, so I see no reason why NEMA cannot be actualized now. We'd rather have it actualized now rather than later. Madam Speaker, hospitals are not like hotels where we can have proper discrimination, where we have the upper class and lower class. We're being very polite, Madam Speaker, by saying there's a high class and low class. But in actual sense, Madam Speaker, the high class or the higher cost is actually for high class people. And the low class, Madam Speaker, or the low cost is actually for low class people. Why should we have such a thing happening in this modern era? Madam Speaker, this is why we want NEMA to come in and ensure that those needy people, Madam Speaker, that vulnerable person, that vulnerable parent of ours, Madam Speaker, is able to go to any hospital of their choice, not just government hospital, Madam Speaker, even the other private hospitals, Madam Speaker, to get that specialized treatment. Because, Madam Speaker, NEMA is supposed to be an equalizer, just like education is. Madam Speaker, I think as I conclude, I will say that the mover of the motion, Madam Speaker, has already told us what is the truth. Madam Speaker, the people of Chimwemwe are hoping and believing that this motion will be supported by all, so that we can also see that our old people, the aged Madam Speaker, that the vulnerable person, Madam Speaker, is able to attend to by NEMA. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mbavala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Mbavala an opportunity to contribute to the motion. Ably moved by Honorable Christopher Kangombe, Member of Parliament for Kafisa, and ably seconded by his counterpart from Nkana, Honorable Bino Mpondo. Madam Speaker, when we analyze public policies, we look at the policies themselves, we look at the legislation, and we look at the system. And what we find is that with the establishment of NIMA, it was basically a response to one of the health systems strengthening items. And this is financing. Within the health system strengthening, we've got governance and leadership, which is in good shape. We've got information systems that are in good shape and maybe improvement somewhere. We've got the human resource, which saw the new Dawn government recruit over 12,000 health workers last year and many more this year to try and fix the human resource aspect. We've got the drugs and logistics line, and we've got the infrastructure and then health financing. It is at health financing where NIMA falls and where we're grappling. What we are grappling with here from the mover of the motion is the issue of health access and financing in order to actualize strengthening our health system. Madam Speaker, health services in this country are free at the primary level. And indeed, the existence of the high cost and low cost is basically an aeroplane model, that you get the same doctors to treat the patients whilst being on the same plane, arriving at the same time, but others are in business class, others are in the second class. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the motion should be about moving NIMA to the Ministry of Health so that it can impact on each and every citizen in that manner, as opposed to those only who are working. Madam Speaker, that should be our debate and focus, so much that we can ensure that every citizen receives these health services, because they are already free. They are already provided for. The persons who are vulnerable are already supported through the means of community development, social workers. We've got the hospital social workers who are able to determine, using various means, who is supposed to get free services and who can't get free services. So in terms of accessing for the vulnerable people, it's already happening. But the question which I'm putting my point on, Madam Speaker, is to move NIMA to means of health.
Order. As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Worship business resumes at 17 hours, and on the floor of the House was Mbavala Member of Parliament, Mr. Musanje, contributing to a motion that has been moved by Kamfinsa Member of Parliament, Mr. Kangombe, that this House urges the government to actualize the provision of health services under the National Health Insurance Scheme to the poor and vulnerable. And this motion is being seconded by Nkana Member of Parliament, Mr. Bino.
Exactly, Claudette. And earlier on, when business resumed, we did see Madam Speaker make an announcement in which she recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from St. Raphael's School in Livingston. And thereafter, we had a ministerial statement that was rendered by the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. This statement was on the roads in Northwestern province and plans that the government of the Republic of Zambia has in improving the roads in the province.
The House also considered two questions for oral answer understanding order number 74. So this is business that has been transacted on the floor of the House so far. Just now, we take a break.
Arusha. I am the current member of parliament for Chifuru constituency. I was elected in the last election in 2021, and I came in as the new member of parliament for Chifuru constituency, which is on the Copper Belt in Ndola district. I started my school way back on the Copper Belt. Later on, I was transferred to a boarding school in Northwestern province, where I did my secondary school, junior secondary school at Kasempa Boys Secondary School. Then from there, I was selected to go and do my senior secondary school at Solwezi Technical Secondary School. Upon completion of my secondary education, I came to Ndola back to join my family. Then I started my tertiary studies at Northern Technical College, where I did my certificate in accounts and business studies. Later on, I did my diploma in accountancy. From there, I started pursuing SCCA. I did my SCCA up to the final stage. Then later on, I abandoned it to pursue a bachelor's in accountancy and finance with Copperstone University, which I completed. And from there, I started working for Zamtel College. I worked at Zamtel